by YouTube of the live stream. Wow, all right. So we are live. Oh. Oh.
If you own a home in Colorado, that's...
Somebody asking you questions?
No, it's a commercial before the live.
Oh. They'll show it to more people if there's commercials. So.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to have to talk loud because of the wind. I don't know, just kind of keep an eye on the comments if they say, can't hear you, and you're going to have to turn your, thing. You're going to have to turn your audio all the way down. Do you hear me?
I hear you, but I'm trying to see if we can hear each other on the telephone.
What do you mean?
What do I mean? You just said we're going to have to speak louder. I'm seeing how loud we have to speak.
We'll hear about it. See it in the chat. Yeah. But when I say something and you don't acknowledge, it's like, hey, just all you got to do is acknowledge. Yeah, I got it. All right.
You know what happens is I ask sometimes what, and you're like, nothing, I'm not talking to you. Or I'm like, what? And you're like,
Me?
I'm not repeating it. Yeah, you.
That's very rare. That's very rare. If that's the case, then I just said a bunch of shit and you weren't listening, and I'm not going to repeat it. So that's you shouldn't get offended by that.
Brian says don't talk so loud.
We'll try to tone it down for you, Brian. So I know you're sensitive. What's up, everybody? Would you like a slightly cold beer?
No, thanks. Oh, you have a beer or just Miller Lite?
You had your chance. You could have got beer.
I didn't see anything I liked.
Would you like us a little sip of tin of Went? Yeah.
No, thanks.
Early times.
No. I'm getting bored with drinking alcohol.
Yeah, okay. Well, we should just start smoking weed then.
No.
Thinking, no? You just don't want to tell the public that you're going to smoke weed.
I'm not. I haven't smoked weed in
What?
years.
What?
I've vaporized.
Oh, that's not smoking weed. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to Colorado. The producer is going to be keeping up with the chat. So if you have questions, comments, angry sentiments, we want to hear them all tonight. Because really, if you're going to get angry and pissed off, really, don't drop a freaking don't spray paint somebody's house with a nasty note. Come to a live stream and go, I don't like you guys because of your beards or whatever. Now's the time to let it all out. Get it all out of your system. What do we have to report? Let's give them an up-to-date where we're at. So the trail started outside of Atlanta. You came to the Gear Check Rally. We spent a few days there with Luke and other cool people. Then we went to the Vagabond Rally and spent a few days there with a few cool people. Then we came to Gary's house, followed Gary all the way to Texas to his place. And then he decided to set the ranch on fire. And then we headed out from there, headed towards, where we were going, Guadalupe Mountains. Yeah. And then, boom!
Well, it's more like,
yeah. I'm just out of curiosity, who knows what's going on with Bert's motorcycle? Because I know it's kind of hit and miss the information that's out there. I don't even know what I put out there because I've been doing the trying to do daily updates in addition to trying to do like a weekly video, which is screwing up the timeline. I did shoot a video. I'll probably put that out either tomorrow or Wednesday about why you're confused. Are you confused? Is anybody confused about the timeline of how everything's going? Because I did get one comment the other day. I think he's a new viewer. He's like, I don't understand. Is this a rerun? Because most people know that everything is in a timeline. You don't go back and forth. Well, I've been kind of going back and forth for a few years now. I've decided that enough people have said, I like this format where you do a daily video. You go, hey, we're in Mancos, sitting out here in front of this pond. snow-capped mountains are 5 miles away, and then a week from now you see something that happened 2 weeks back or a week back. And I'm going to explain that in the video at length. And that way, every time somebody gets confused, I just send them a link to the video that explains it instead of going, well, let me tell you how this whole editing thing works. So if you're confused, it's because I'm doing two playlists at once. I'm doing the editing, uh, everything's within sequence. Well, really everything in both playlists are in sequence. Just one of the playlists is a timeline. It's a almost real-time timeline. So it's a few minutes or a few hours after we're sitting. So like if I was filming a short video, an update right now, it would be live in 30 minutes from now. So almost real time. This is real time. You can't really get real time without doing it live. So, but now that I'm thoroughly convinced, does anybody have any questions about anything so far? And we'll start off that because I want to know what you guys want to talk about, not what I think you want to hear about.
The final diagnosis, prognosis, and remedy on the CRF is that the piston and the skirt overheated at some point, and the cylinder wall there was fairly dug out, and the ring cracked. And so I put a new piston and new cylinder on the bike, and it's been 1,000 miles. Actually, today it's been 1,000 miles since I did that.
So I'll give you my take on what happened to Bert. Bert bought a screwed up motorcycle. It was toast. The guy that sold it to him toasted the motorcycle. I don't know what he did with it, but ever since Bert's been riding with me, when we left North Alabama, we started climbing hills and he had nothing. It was 45 miles an hour. Okay, well I just assumed, okay, well he's loaded down. It's a 300, blah blah blah, but nothing became as visible as when we hit those small hills on the Natchez Trace where he came up to the top of a hill and hit a headwind. I don't know, maybe a 20-mile-an-hour headwind, and it almost came to a stop. And at that time, I thought he broke his motorcycle. But that was the first time that it became evident that that bike has 12 horsepower. So the 300 has a lot more horsepower. What is it, 36? Something like that.
Oh, I think it's 24, 27.
Okay, well, he had 12 the whole time we were riding up until it blew up in Texas. So, okay, maybe you made it worse in Texas by just whatever, trying to squeeze every 12 horsepower out of it. But ever since then, it's ridden like every other 300cc motorcycle I've ridden with. So, you can keep up. Okay, you're going up an incline like this, you're going to drop back 45, 50 maybe. Especially if you got a big load, especially if there's wind blowing, and there's wind blowing all over Texas the whole time we were out in West Texas. So, but that's my take on it. You bought a used motorcycle that the guy blew the thing up in 2,000 miles, and he was like, "Whoa, hey, here you go." Oh well, it only cost you what, $500 to get a brand new motorcycle?
Just
almost?
under 500. Well, maybe with the Ubers and donuts I bought and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the great news is, and you'll get this story on Saturday. The final story is coming out Saturday on the repair of Bert's bike. It's kind of an extraordinary story. Bert's going to sit down with the camera at some point and tell you the whole story, and with only me taking his editing tips, and hopefully it'll be something as compelling as the story is. I'm telling my story with Bert's in it, but I want Bert to be able to tell his story. Like I think you still want to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that'll be a really good story of the kindness and the graciousness and the generosity that we experienced in West Texas. Even though somebody got upset that I was talking shit about West Texas, but everybody that lives there has talked bad about West Texas, like what a crappy town it is. The people are great, so it's nothing against the town. It's like, man, the people that live there deserve more than what they're getting out of this funky little dusty, windy town. Anyway, what else you got?
All right, so same gentleman, Patrick Buckley, it looks like, that asked about the whole thing. Yeah, less than 500 ain't bad, and I do know the condition. And yeah, if it's as good as new, it's as good as new. Let's see, what else do we have in here?
He's riding it like a dirt bike, even when it's loaded down. He rides it like a 200-pound dirt bike. So that's probably the most interesting thing that I think is not only he fixed a motor, never worked on a motorcycle a day in your life. You went into the Honda shop and rebuilt the bottom end of a motorcycle.
Oh, that's a question.
Yeah, that's a question.
Okay, so and I'll get back to that. The piston, I changed the piston, I changed the cylinder. The crank and rod were not touched. The head was not touched, except for taking it off with the cams and the timing chain. What would y'all call that? Would you say it's a top end rebuild, the piston and cylinder, or a bottom end rebuild, the piston and cylinder?
We're waiting for that answer.
Yep.
And it's probably going to be mixed. I would say it's probably 10% of people are going to say that's a top end, but I don't.
I'd say it's top end.
Well, if that's top end, then what is bottom end?
Old guy on a bike says middle rebuild.
Yeah, okay.
Brian says top end.
But Brian doesn't work on his bikes. He takes them to the dealer, so we're not listening to Brian. Yeah. Anybody that works on bikes, and especially mechanics. If you're a mechanic, you get paid to work on machines.
So Brian says, why edit? Just shoot a 15-minute video and hit send. I know a guy that does that every weekend.
Yeah, I do too.
But you don't get as much stuff in a straight 15-minute video.
Well,
as
you can if you're really good with the pause button, and I'm not. I've done it before. Just you walk around, you hit pause, you could do that's kind of a way of editing. But Brian, the thing you miss and everybody else misses is I shoot a lot of video. I shoot hours and hours and hours of video, and then I take the best. So I curate, I collect videos, and then I go through hours of video and go, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that. My videos are different than yours. I love your stuff, but it's different.
Do you know why commercials pop up during the live? I just had a commercial.
Because they will tell everybody you're going live if you put ads in it. Otherwise, they won't. So that's what I've decided. Okay. I think it sucks too. I don't want ads running. Period. But
KA asks if we've seen any Tesla arsonists hiding up here from the law.
Not a one.
We haven't seen anybody really.
No, but I'm sure they're up here. They went on the run when they got the APB out on the scratchers.
Brian says in regard to what you said, it's because he's not Section 8.
Yeah, exactly. Every life he makes payments on motorcycles because he's not Section 8, and yeah, it's we do things the manly way because we're Section 8. That's it. Yeah, and we're going to see Brian.
If Brian was Section 8, he would have eaten that goat by now.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian's a rich man living on the side of a mountain.
Okay, so Tyler Hunter says could be middle, but called a top end build. At least when I used to do stuff like that.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I've heard it both ways. So, but if you look at the definitions, everything that I've read is everything from the top of the piston up is top end, and everything from the top of the piston down is bottom end. So it makes sense if you think about it, because they're both complex systems. You know, heads. You got moving valves in the heads. You got moving pistons in the, everything down below. So, but yeah, I've heard. But if bottom end, if it's below the pistons, then it's just a crank. There's nothing there. It's just a crank spinning. So if you think about it, that's not really a system. That's just a big hunk of metal spinning on some bearings.
If you haven't ever done that to a motorcycle, and I don't know if anything else is like this, but when you pull the valve cover off and you've got the two cams there, underneath the rocker arms, there are shims that sit on top of the valves.
Yes.
And it appears that they're just little round shims the size of the valve.
You're not talking about rocker arms. You're talking about...
What's the arm?
Those are cams. You've got cam lobes that are doing this, right?
Yeah, and what sits on top of the valves?
cups, and then below the cups you have shims. So in other words, you've got lobes of your cams are spinning on your motorcycle. Other motorcycles not so much. You're thinking like a V8.
Well, there were each side, the intake and the exhaust had what looked like rocker arms.
Okay, well I don't know what your inside of your bike looks like, but most modern
Well, you
engines
just
have
told me.
Okay, well
So there's these little shims that sit on top, and apparently each one of them is different. And if you lose one of them or all of them,
wait a minute, you've got rocker arms and shims? That's weird.
I mean, there were little arms that.
So you had rocker. Okay.
That contacted the valves.
So you had a rod that's twisting back and forth, that's opening and closing the valves. Because what it should look like, it should be a camshaft with lobes.
There's two cams with lobes.
Okay, well those should be depressing the cups that are on top of your valve. So you got a valve coming up into a cup, right? That's what it looks like. It looks like an inverted cup. No, that's not what it was.
No, it looked like a rocker arm. It was like two pieces that came out over the intake valves.
Yeah, I don't know your engine, but that sounds really weird. But you had lobes that were hitting something that looked like that.
Yeah, like a rocker arm.
Yeah, that's a weird design. Rocker arm.
So anyway, each one of the tops of the valves had different shims, and they're set from the factory. And if you misplace one or they get moved around, then you've got to figure out which ones go in which place. And I believe Brandon said there's multiples in different spots.
Shims,
so you could have two shims over here and one over here and three over here. Yeah, that's why I freaked out. So we put a little bit of grease on there, and then we took the head off and put it on the side.
Okay.
But that's something to be aware of if you ever tear into one of those things.
Well, I would say if you tear into an engine that looks like that, better get somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, because that's weird. Yeah, most modern motorcycle engines that I've seen in the last, 25, 30 years are camshaft on top that has lobes that are depressing cups that have shims inside them. So what you would do is you would measure the distance between the lobes at top dead center. Well, basically you've got closed, all your valves are closed. You would measure the clearance to see what kind of shim you needed in there. So, but not just that, you had to after you measured everything, you'd have to go, okay, I've got my measurements. Then you take the camshaft off, you take the bucket over shim. That's most of what I've seen in the last 20, 30 years. And I would say it's going to be some kind of design, something similar to that. So bucket over shim, you take the bucket out, the shim is inside the bucket. You take the shim out and you go, oh, that's a 0.23. And you take the measurement and you go, okay, I need to swap that out with some other. But I guess you could use multiple shims. I've just never heard anybody doing that. I've always heard you take the shim out and replace it with the thing that's going to give you the clearance that you need.
All right, I'm looking for a picture while I read this. Okay,
I want to see that. While we argue on a live stream, I don't know anything about your engine, honestly, but I would be surprised if you've got a thumper that's wildly different than anything I've seen.
Okay, so KA says, Pigpen called and asked, how many days since your last shower? 2?
Oh, 2, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how we wound up in Mancos, because we were beelining. Miscommunication. It's probably been our first major miscommunication, yes or no?
Probably.
So we were talking. We had a couple things going. We're going north. He wanted to go to Burr Trail, so I was like, okay, Burr Trail. So let's go north, and on the way we'll snag us up a truck stop shower. And we looked at several places. There was 50 of them around Albuquerque. I was like, Albuquerque. I mentioned Albuquerque, and then you mentioned something else that I don't remember. Hot Springs. Anyway, it seemed like it was like 2 or 3 days before, so I just kind of dismissed it. I got up the next morning. I was like, Albuquerque, that's east. We don't want to go east. Let's go northwest. And I found one. I was like, let's go there. And we got up there. I was like, oh, guess what? We're in the freaking desert. There's nothing around here. There's no trees. And we're on the Indian reservation and all kinds of stuff. I was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go this way, that way, that way? So anyway, it was like, fuck it, we can be in Mancos by 9:30. And we didn't make it to Mancos. We made it to Cortez and stealth camped.
It's not stealth.
We stealth camped in the middle of town behind the Welcome Center.
We might as well sleep in a 24-hour Walmart on like one of the beds and display or something.
No, we could have easily hung on those trees next to Walmart. I don't know if you went. I just don't like being in Walmart, number one, and there was a lot of light. It was perfect where we went. We were under a gazebo.
Yeah,
you'll see a piece of that video when I'm telling you about the confusion.
Don pulls off the road and makes a U-turn and pulls back behind this building, and I see a gazebo, and he's like, "Follow me." So he pulled to the gazebo, and I thought there was a storm coming or something that he found out about. And there's some trees out in the middle of a field, and then he says, "All right, we're going to hang out here for a minute, and then I'm going to hang here, and you can hang there." And I'm like, here we go again.
Like the bank in Odessa or Midland.
So Patrick says, if Ewan and Charlie showed up tonight and wanted the same campsite, would you fight them, and who would take? Who would take who?
I wouldn't fight Charlie, but I'd beat the shit out of Ewan.
I don't know either one. I would just hope they brought craft services with
well,
them.
we were gonna watch Long Way Round because he's got some pretty big deficits in culture in general, like movies and stuff like that. But he knows nothing about the motorcycle world because this is his first motorcycle. And you've admitted that you're not riding a motorcycle for enjoyment. You're riding a motorcycle to go camping.
Yeah.
Which is completely opposite of me. I'm camping to ride a motorcycle. I just really thought that was an interesting dichotomy of our motivations. And even with all that said, this is your first motorcycle, and you're still a better rider than I am. By anybody's measurement.
What about a year and a half ago?
What?
I'm not better than you were a year and a half ago.
Oh yeah, I don't smoke you a year and a half ago. But today, if you look at us on the trail, and you look at the old man trying to turn his bike around with one leg, and it's quite remarkable that he's come as far as he has since I saw him a few months back when he first came over. And I was like, well, if you're going to ride with me, you're going to have some basic skills. So let's get out here and I'm going to take you in the woods and thrash you just a little bit to make sure that I'm not going to be carrying your ass all the way across country. Anyway, so here we are.
Tom says they're called cam followers.
Followers are buckets. Oh, you're talking about your thing.
Yeah.
Well, find me a picture. I want to see.
I just looked. Nobody's had to take one of those apart yet because it's a Honda. So
you're the first one.
Uh-huh.
Well, if that's true, how did your previous owner break the damn thing? I would really like to know that because that's probably something you don't want to repeat. If he broke it, you don't want to do what he did. What was he doing? Running at 9,500 RPMs for an hour?
I don't know. I mean, he said he ran a lot between 20 minutes east of you and Tuscaloosa.
Yeah,
on the interstate.
Yeah, he probably. And all this time, I'm accusing you of wringing its neck. Well, it sounds. I mean, for what you were describing, trying to keep up with me in some points, it sounded like you were wringing its neck. And you're like, I'm only doing 7,500 RPMs. So we don't know. We don't know what happened. All we know is the bike is back to stock configuration, maybe closer to the way it left the factory.
Are we not just east of Cortez right now?
We're way east of Cortez. We're east of Mancos.
Gary's saying Great BLM land just east of Cortez. How far out of Cortez? Because we're east of Cortez.
Yeah, we're east of Cortez. I don't remember seeing any. And Cortez is real close to the res too. I think there's still reservation there. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Gary.
Michael Berryhill says, this is Blue Hook Mike. Ring a bell?
Yes, it does.
He says, glad to see y'all are still like a married couple.
Oh, it's going to get worse. It's going to get way worse. I'm gonna. At some point, he's going to really start acting a whole lot more like me. He's going, rah, 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 rah. I'm going to turn him into a grumpy old bitch by the time we split up. But you're still having a good time, aren't you?
Yeah, I woke up this morning. And what time did you get up?
Way later than you did.
I mean, I was up at 7 collecting firewood.
Dude, we probably should take you over there. No, he's already we burn up almost all the firewood. So he's collecting like what do they call it? You deliver
Deadwood?
firewood. You deliver firewood in a
Cord, half cord, quarter cord.
So he had about a cord of firewood out here last night, and we burnt through half of that. And then he's out here this morning collecting and cutting it into even chunks so they go into the fireplace that he built perfectly. So yeah, so it's
Don didn't get up until it was crack-a-lacking really loud over there. And he was like,
I didn't even know there was a fire. I'm just like, it's almost warm enough for me to get up. I don't know. And yeah, we're definitely the odd couple. We're Oscar and Felix, if y'all don't know.
Yeah, not Bert and Ernie.
Not Bert and Ernie.
Gary says about a mile or two. You turn north off 160. About a half a mile down, you turn right in camping area.
Just a camping area? Is there anything extraordinary about it, or is it just a bunch of trees?
This is a nice spot. We're a little bit tucked away.
It's a great spot. So
got
Gary,
an outdoor kitchen.
Gary, we didn't have to go up on the hill. So it's supposed to rain Friday. We're talking about maybe splitting before then. But you can see out here on the road, everything's rutted out because it rained last time and people still tried to crawl through here in their four-wheel drive. So it's pretty rutted out.
Gary said lots of trees.
Lots of trees? Gravel road, or is it dirt like we're on here? Dirt, mud.
I wish there was a way that you could show pictures during the live, like some sort of more interactive.
Well, you can. You just can't do it on mobile.
People can send us pictures?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you're talking about something else.
I don't know if something else like that exists.
Do you think Gary can send a picture while he's watching the live stream?
No, I'm not talking about Gary. I'm just saying in general.
In general. Yeah,
Gary doesn't even answer his phone when it rings. I mean, he's not going to send us pictures.
What's up, Gary?
Gravel.
Dude, you got to catch up, man.
He says well-maintained gravel.
Oh, okay. Well, we may check that out. But I would say if we pack up here, I want to ride further than Cortez. So, in fact, maybe we need to figure out a plan for Utah. So he immediately gave up on his only thing that he wanted to do while he was on this adventure, which was Bird Trail. He immediately gave up because the ferry's not running. I don't even know what that means. I don't know why the ferry is an important thing. If you can get to the start or the end of the Bird Trail, why can't you ride the Bird Trail?
We can't carry enough gas.
Oh, okay. Well, you said, what did you say, 135 miles?
It'd be 120 in perfect,
The Bird Trail is 70 miles.
I think it's 60 or 70.
It's 70. 71 or 72, something like that. But you're saying we can't get gas and then ride to the Bird Trail and finish the Bird Trail.
We can get gas. We can get gas at the top and ride down. But then my understanding is it ends at the ferry. And you have to cross Lake Powell, but then the ferry's not running until May 22nd.
I would hate to think that I know more about the Bird Trail than you do. I mean, I just read a brief description.
If I built the Bird Trail, you would say I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's named after you, the Bird Trail. If it was the Bird Trail, I would still do it.
Tom wants to pan around. You want to pan around? You want to move a location?
No, let's walk around.
All right.
You can walk in front and like you're a tour guide, just walk around in front and go, this is the campfire that I built with my hands. This is the second cord of wood that I brought from the woods and sawed it into nice little even sections while Dawn was napping, not doing anything to contribute. Come with us, will you? Won't you?
Where are we going?
To the fire. Let's go there first. That's a pretty nice fireplace. Any comments?
I'm grateful that all these rocks were here so that we could stack it up and keep the wind from
burning through the firewood
Mm-hmm.
so fast.
That is a nice stack of firewood you got over there.
That's just the stuff I got for the morning.
That's just the stuff that you've processed. There's the stuff that you haven't processed, and it was probably that much or more last night that we went through.
We burned a good bit. We were gonna. Oh man, if we cook steaks tomorrow night, then we've got to get more firewood. We just can't have as much fire tonight.
I mean, we can go back down and get steaks. I'm not against it. I just didn't want to try to do the stream and try to cook and try to.
I'm full. I don't need to eat steaks.
Okay.
The pond.
So it's not a pond. I think they call them tanks or reservoirs, but they're built specifically for cattle. So, and you can see it's kind of odd shaped. It doesn't really look like a pond, but you can see there's basically a river that's coming into this thing, and it goes nowhere because they want it to fill up. But it does have an overflow over there. What else you want to show them the kitchen? Yeah, let's go to the kitchen. So it's been recently remodeled, so it's still kind of rough shape. We've got some supplies, working supplies in there, but I mean, it really took a lot of work for me to get these rocks from out there in the woods to where they are. I didn't carry them all. I kind of rolled a few of them, but as you can see, there's a nice hooded vent here for the stoves and stuff back there. You can see that can of beans that's empty back there. That's kind of where we do our cooking to keep the wind down. And then if it gets really windy and cold, we can crawl under the rock there. It's got a little bit of an overhang. And it's real trashy looking because that's all my stuff. And you can see my pants in the back because the wind blew it off over there. Boots everywhere. Let's go look at Bert's campsite, all nice and tidy.
Oh, jeez.
I think Gary would really have a nice time hanging out with Bert, because Gary might be able to teach Bert a few things about keeping things nice and tidy and orderly. Keeping things up under your hammock. Look at this. I mean, that's just beautiful. Beautiful.
The hammock is a little high, but last night it was touching the ground, so I brought it up 5 or 6 inches, and now it seems to be way in the air. But I don't even know if I can get in that thing.
Well,
it might be worth a try.
I would say let's go take a tour of my camp, but it's a disaster, and I've got my sex doll in the hammock, and I don't want anybody to see that. So.
Oh, this right here.
Oh, we got to take him out to the. Is that where you're getting your fire starter?
This is gold.
All right, we gotta take them to the gate. So Bert's found something interesting in the woods, and I suggested that we use that to keep trespassers from coming back into camp, because I mean, you don't want people coming back here thinking that they can camp next to the lake or the pond or whatever they think it is. So we decided to take this really interesting object that Bert found while he was collecting wood and construct some kind of a, what would you call it? Symbolic?
A barrier.
Symbolic barrier? It's a barrier, but you know, if you got the right machine, you can just roll right through that, right?
Yeah, you can get around on a dirt bike.
Do you think that's really going to intimidate people, or?
I don't, but it was your idea, so I built it.
Somebody's calling me on the phone, and it's not my mother. To hell with y'all. Yeah.
We made it.
Is the squeaky still in there, or did you tear it out? You tore the heart out of our... So he said there's a really spooky looking doll back in there. I was like, really? Go get it. I like spooky dolls. It's like, it's a chew toy, man. Doll. Does that look like a doll to anybody besides a dog? Anyway, but that's kind of where we're off of the road that's off of the main road. So
yeah,
Gary, to give you an idea, the main road is over there. Turn right. I probably brought you back in here when we were scouting the thing. Well, no, you met me at camp the first time. So anyway, there's a couple of really nice spots on the cliff over there, and they were both occupied. But the main road where we turned around over here is over there. So our spot where we had to abandon the bikes under the pylon and do the walk of shame up to camp, that's right up the road here, maybe a quarter mile. Anyway.
So 6 Semper Tyrannis says, how's the 3 Hyundai doing? That's
Doing
like,
great. That's doing great.
tell us you didn't get to start the live stream with us. Gary said it's called a stock tank.
Stock tank, thank you.
Will Billy 2000 says, do you guys pack a tent also, or just the hammocks?
I no longer pack a tent.
Just the hammocks.
Just the hammocks. I do have a tarp in case it's raining and there's no trees.
Luke says 5 or 6 inches is a lot, depending on what you're talking about. Old guy on a bike would scare the heck out of me.
There you go.
Gary says the voodoo doll looks great.
Voodoo doll, there we go.
Tyler Hunter says, just like the Blair Witch curse.
Yep. You should be at least intimidated slightly, I think. And quick glance at my camp.
Oh, Luke's watching. Look, this is just the beginning. Hi, Gones.
he's learning. So yeah, there's my disaster of a camp. I mean, everything inside straight, you know, love doll. It's an expensive love doll. It's not one of those $20 ones. I've got a $40 love doll in there. Damn, I'm tired just walking around.
Will Billy, the 300 is running fine. I guess like it should when it's new. Are we in?
Yeah, so the people that have been here since the beginning, y'all are going to have to tell us when to leave because we're not doing anything else. We're about as bored as y'all are. If you're on this, if you're watching this stream, you're bored. And we're bored, so we got nothing better to do than just sit here and run our mouths for y'all.
Luke says, poor love doll.
Poor love doll. It's expensive, man. $40. It's not your working man's love doll.
Ho Ho on the Go says, take the voodoo doll with you when you leave. Might come in handy later on in the adventure.
I like that idea. If you don't have a place to stuff it, we'll strap it to my bike. I don't care.
Brian says, why does Bert have a Canadian accent like Jim?
It's not Canadian. He's a coon ass, y'all. He's a coon ass. He lives in Atlanta, but he's a coon ass.
With a new kickstand.
With a new dude. It's
Yeah.
a kickstand, new piston rings. Yeah, y'all got a lot of stuff coming up. I've edited a couple of videos that are in their schedule. So Saturday mornings are the edited videos.
Will Billy 2000 says, you guys going to Colorado this time? What do you think about a trip to Colorado?
We should really put that in the cards. Yeah. Where's Colorado exactly from here? How did we get there?
Well, we're here.
Oh, we're in Colorado. Yeah.
Mac McMac, roll tide.
Mac McNabb, roll tide. So the plan right now is we're going to go back the direction we came.
Oh, this is Mike. I didn't know Mike's last name. Mike said the Tennessee ride was awesome. I got to hang out with Brock Gill and Sean from Bikes and Beers. So Sean was there.
You didn't know Mike Berryhill was Mike Berryhill?
No, I didn't know Berryhill was his last name.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It sounded like you knew who that was.
You got to make the people feel welcome. I don't know everybody.
Okay. What's up, Mike? What did he say? He went and rode.
He said the Tennessee ride was awesome. He got to hang out with Brock and Sean.
Yeah. Sean from Bikes and Beards.
Yeah.
And then Brock Gill from Brock Gill Adventures or whatever the hell what's his channel?
I don't know. I know he just says, let's ride.
Let's ride. Yeah, he puts on real events. unlike a camping cook. Just show up, man. Just show up. Bring something to cook with. Bring something to sleep on, man.
Yeah, there was Camping Cook, and I'm like, where is that and when is that? And y'all like, oh,
Nah.
it's coming up. And then I'm
Nah.
like, when is it? And then y'all said,
Eh.
let's make an invitation only. And then we left Gary's house.
Well, I think we'd already decided not to do the Camping Cook by the time we got to Gary's, just because it's like, man, ain't nobody coming out this far. There's one guy in Dallas that watched when I invited. He's like, hey, if we do it at Gary's house, I'm only an hour away. I'll come. And
Gary
everybody
said-
else is like, oh, Texas. Oh.
Yeah, Gary said there was a couple of guys I thought in Colorado, but they were saying come to Colorado.
That's what everybody says. Hey, come to my house so I don't have to get on my motorcycle. And no. It's a disease, y'all, and there's a lot of people suffering from it.
Mike says Moto Mission.
Yeah, that's it. Moto Mission with Brock Gill. That's the name of his channel.
TW Peeps, as far as Gary catching up to us, you'll have to ask Gary. Gary's in here
Gary's in where?
in the chat. But no, sorry. There's no conversations allowed per Gary. So
Yeah.
Gary won't respond to you.
Gary, you can't talk to anybody. I don't know. I think it's not a bad idea. I don't get upset about it. I'm just glad people are talking in the chat. So.
Luke wants to know how long we're going to be here.
Why are you coming out?
How long are you going to be wherever you are now? Probably until we leave.
The day we leave is how long we're going to be here. I don't know. It's pretty nice. It's a little chilly when the sun goes down. It goes down into the 30s.
Man, when the sun drops, the temperature plummets.
Boom. Well, you can see probably the wind's blowing right now. If I had something to show
A
you,
trash bag.
you can see. Well, it's not windy at all right now. There's just this is the standard daily breeze right here.
Yeah.
But it'll whop up to a 30 knot wind. So you can kind of see this is what we live with, even at night, just kind of like this. There we go.
Yep.
Windsock. That's what you call this. But yeah.
Luke says I'm trying to catch up with a question mark
Trying to catch up. What?
to where we are.
Oh, you ain't coming out here, dude. Don't tease us. I wish you were out here. You'd be having a blast. And you and Bert could fight over who's in charge of the fire.
I'll give it up.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah,
I mean, you're pretty good at it.
I can go exercise doing something else. I can roll the rock around the
But there
campsite.
can only be one master.
That's fine.
That's a fire. So
That's fine.
Luke's burned a lot of wood. Just since I've known it, he's burned a lot of wood.
Gary says he's planning to leave next Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on Triumph.
What part are you waiting on, Gary?
TW Peep says hot and humid in the south now. Yeah, I forgot about
See,
that.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry y'all are stuck back there. And it's only going to get worse if y'all don't know.
Matt McMatt says, will you do any ADV trail riding while at your current spot?
Very little. I'm not real confident yet. If I do any semi-difficult stuff, it's going to be on an unloaded bike like I have now. Like all my stuff's laying over there in a pile. And the bike, I've got a lot more confidence when the bike is not loaded down. I'm pretty close to like 150 pounds on the back of the bike. So that's a riding with a pillion in my leg and my lack of muscles and reaction. And I keep forgetting I've got a perfectly capable brake over there. I keep forgetting until I start sliding around with the front. I'm like, oh, hey, let's add a little bit of rear brake. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to think that by the time, sometime between now and the end of our trip, that I'm going to go, yeah, that looks like a fun trail. Let's go ride that. So no single track, no hard enduro, no deep sand, because I really can't afford to even drop my bike because I'm so fragile and breakable. And you know, what do I do with a twisted ankle? I've only got one of them, so.
I'll drop my bike.
Yeah.
Luke says he's trying to catch up with the damn chat. It's part of the job requirement.
Yeah, sorry.
Brian says he's headed to Tucson tomorrow.
Okay.
Gary says intake boots, 2 of them on back order as of 2 weeks ago.
That's weird. That's a recall item or a warranty item? That don't make any sense.
I don't know.
Your bike's what, 2 years old, 3 years old?
Luke says, F it, Don, send it.
Yeah. Says the guy with 2 legs. Yeah, why don't you jump your mountain bikes anymore? Why is that not a thing anymore? We all get old. We all get infirm at some point, and at some point, everybody's got to make the decision of what's the return on your investment. Is it worth spending the rest of your life in a wheelchair? You know, that's kind of what I'm dealing with now. I feel like I've come a long way with where I'm at, and if I could ride down a dirt road with my boy over here, and find a campsite, I feel really good about that. I wished I felt differently. I wished I felt like, oh, Black Bear is just right up the road. Let's go do Black Bear.
Yeah. And as far as boy goes, Don's really not that big. He just forces me to sit in this kiddie chair so he looks like a giant. Gary says they're warranty items.
But I mean, your boot is broken? What's wrong with your boot?
Luke says because that's scary and motorcycles are easier. Good Lord, I'm out.
You're downwind. I forgot about that. And normally my farts don't stink, so yeah. Sorry about that.
That's what you tell Luke.
I'll warn you before the next one. Sorry about that. That was just a little tiny one too.
Yeah. The poor chair.
Oh, wait a minute. I know what it is. It's the
hummus.
The hummus, dude. Dude, I forgot.
The expiration date.
No. It's hummus. All hummus.
Oh,
It's beans. If you think about it, it's beans. It's delicious, though.
Gary says, too bad the road is rigged out. I rode to the top last year. It was a good ride. Oh, Gary was here last year?
Yeah, he probably was, because it's good camping around here.
Will Billy 2000 says, how do you like the Tenere?
Love the Tenere. That's why I bought it. I had a several month test ride on this very same bike. It was like, I don't know what else I'm going to ride if it's not going to be this one. So that's how much I like. What?
I'll get to that in a second.
The fart?
Gary says disintegrated rubber, probably made in China.
China.
And Luke says, Don dropping his guts. Classic.
Well, have you done your Christmas poo this morning? Because I never did.
No, but
we neither of us have taken a shit today, which concerns us because we have a very concentrated ritual. We don't do much without coffee, so that's usually the first thing I do is get up and have my coffee, so I know when I'm going to poop. But yeah, it's just we've just been hovering. I went on a what do you call it?
A walkabout.
Your morning constitutional. I did a constitutional out there. I went walking trying to find a nice place to poop, and nothing moved. So, kind of worried.
And I pulled a Gary and pre-dug a latrine.
Oh,
I was ready to go.
Talk about disappointment.
And yeah,
man, you think everything's perfect just because you're sitting in paradise, snow-covered mountains over here you can't see because of the trees. Yeah, it's really spectacularly beautiful here, and the weather is almost perfect. A little bit too much breeze. The breeze should come through between like noon and 3. Like you could stand out in the sun if it was noon and 3, but then it's like 4 o'clock. Come on, man.
Yeah, it changes all the time. TW Peep says that's a beautiful lake behind you. How much of the lots?
How much of what?
The lots. We want to parcel out some of this land.
This is national forest. You can't have any. Although there's a guy there with a house over here, pretty nice 2-story house right over here. I don't know how he does it because there's people camping all around him, running generators and up and down the roads. Kind of a dusty, dirty road. Yeah, I would not want to live, even though it's a very beautiful location. I don't want campers all around me all the time with barking dogs and screaming kids. Blah, blah, blah.
I saw on the way in when I was coming back in, there's a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. I don't know how. I guess if you're in a car, it wouldn't be so bad pulling a trailer. I didn't do 15.
Usually I come through here about 30, but yeah, I was probably doing less than 20, maybe.
Yeah. Chase Dirtbike said, I think I could smell it from here. Well, it was bad. Tell Hunter.
It probably blew right up in his nose because the wind's coming off that direction.
Tell Hunter. Tell Don practice makes perfect when riding. I also am sure it will all come back with time.
I'm sure it is too. I gave it some thought about doing my typical thing before I go anywhere. The first thing I do in the spring when my riding starts picking up, I spend a few hours in a parking lot. But this particular time, I didn't have enough confidence to do that. I really was very low confidence. But most of my problem comes from starting and stopping. So going from 0 to 5 miles an hour, that's where all my problems is. And coming to a stop, because I gotta plan ahead with where I'm putting my feet and all that. But that's like 95% of my problem is the very low speed. Low speed, I'm still pretty good with. Under 10 miles an hour, I'm still pretty good with. It's the under 5 that I have problems with, which I'm kind of a disaster because I really haven't figured out the whole rear brake thing. I don't have my balance. My balance is gone. Even if I could use my foot, my balance is gone. But I combine that with the fact that my balance is gone and I'm having a real hard time balancing the bike with clutch throttle. And, I'm basically using my clutch in one hand for clutch and brake.
But is the brake really going to help when you have to turn around on the road because there's a gate that we run upon?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. Before, coming out here last year, I would have swung wide to the right in a one-lane road, so I'd ride to the right, hold the throttle, let the clutch out slowly, and drag the rear brake, and I would have went whoop, instead of acting like an old man pushing my bike backwards. It was very awkward. That's why I say anybody that watched us riding is like, there's the pro rider. What's he doing with his old man? Because that's what I feel like. That's what I look like. It's terrible.
But you're out here, like I told him this morning. Yep. He's out here.
Well, I'm progressing just really, really slowly. I'm relearning. It's just really slow, and it's scary. It's really scary because it's like, just imagine, I've got 2 legs. I just sling this around, but it's got no feeling. I've just got to trust that the feeling in my knee is telling me where my leg is. That's all I've got. That's all the sensory input I've got. So, but I'm trusting that when I pick my foot up and put my foot down on the peg, I'm trusting that it's in the right place. Otherwise, I got to look down to see if my leg's in the right place. So, it's bizarre. I'll do a video on the issues that I'm facing because I'm sure some people are going to be interested in it. But yeah, it's just my struggle, man. I would much rather be out here being scared and riding my motorcycle than being with you guys at home sitting and watching YouTube. I'd much rather be in my position than your position. Even though I love you guys, just that makes me sad just to think about spending another freaking summer at home. Ugh. And what are you guys doing? Anybody got plans to get out this summer? I know Matt does.
Luke says Christmas chilies.
I know Matt does. I know Gary does. Brian's going to do riding.
Luke's got to go clean up the seed trail. He'll see us later. See you, Luke.
See you, man. Who else is in the chat?
Tyler Hunter says he's envious and waiting for the snow and ice to go away so he can try bike out. Looking like sometime in May to think about riding here.
Yeah. Tyler, you're gonna ride. Tyler, you're in Canada, right? I'm thinking. Are you riding this far south? So
Michael's got the Cannonball coming up. He just said
Mike.
I
don't know who Michael is.
Mike.
Yeah. He's got the Cannonball. When's that start, Mike? Because if we can intersect you and intersect your ride and ride with you, that would be spectacular. I mean, if Slowpoke over here can keep up with you on your scooter.
Yeah, really.
Seriously though,
I know.
He might be able to smoke you on his.
He said it did 75.
It's
faster than me,
dude. I would love to get that video.
I have hit 80 on the 300 downhill with a tailwind.
I'm pretty sure he was racing me on his scooter when I was on his Touareg. I'm pretty sure he was throttling out.
We could see what the 300 will do if I draft behind Brian on a downhill.
Would be interesting. So what you'll see in a video coming up is our trip from New Mexico up into Colorado, which is where we are now. Uh, he saw something out on the interstate right after we got in the shower. There was a section of road we didn't have any choice. We had to get on the interstate, and of course we were almost run over because we had a tailwind going to the shower. We had a headwind coming back, so you were down to what 60 something, and a bunch
on
of
the
semis.
interstate.
Yeah, on the
20?
interstate. Huh?
Is that I-20?
I-40.
We're on 40.
So we get on I-40 coming back from the showers going north. We were going to go north, so we had to go back into the headwind, and he was sucking. So he had a strong headwind, and a bunch of semis came up, and he grabbed the draft of one of them for a brief amount of time, and then you lost it. And then he was like, oh, this is a thing. So when we got headed north on another highway, you grabbed.
Well, Don would get about, I don't know, 5 or 6 semis ahead, maybe 8 semis ahead. And so I would see one coming up in my mirror. And as soon as he would get just past me, I would drop over into his draft and get to about 75, 76. And I would get within 2 or 3 18-wheeler lengths of Don and then pull back out again. And so I thought, man, if I could just get behind one of these guys and hold steady behind him,
Yeah.
I could run a decent speed with very little effort. And so I found one that didn't like me back there and threw gravel at me.
You hung on to that one for a while. So after we got off the interstate, we started heading north. I can't remember the highway, but it's a rode through a bunch of reservations. We ran through the Zuni and the Navajo and something else. Anyway, but beautiful roads up through some really rocky, very interesting stuff in northern New Mexico, and then we got up into Colorado. But you caught one. He was trying to shake him off, so he knew he was back there, and he was running his semi off in the shoulder, trying to shake him off. I was like, damn, he's gonna flip that truck trying to get you off. He didn't want him back there at all. And then he caught up to another guy, another truck, the one he was hanging on, trying to shake him off. He didn't want him back there. He got onto another one that's just like, yeah, come on, bro. And we rode all the way almost to Colorado with that guy, didn't we? That was fun.
A long way.
That was fun. Y'all see all that stuff. It's fun stuff.
Mike says the Cannonball starts June 22nd.
Oh, that's a ways off. We got plenty of time.
And Brian said he's been telling you to draft.
Well, yeah.
Gary says, damn truck drivers.
Here we are. What else we need to talk about? What topics do y'all want us to talk about?
The weather's good. The bikes are good.
Facilities are good. The only thing that could be better is a nice, clean, clear creek that's running down. That would be good. We wouldn't have to go into town.
But at the library, all things are covered. I mean, you can work on the computer, and I cleaned up the dishes from last night,
right,
with the stream,
right. Yeah, everything's right there. We got power, we got internet, I got internet out here, so it's not that big of a restroom. Books, they got books in the library too.
I didn't see any.
I've heard there's books in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of food around here. It's supplies. This is a really good spot.
Gary says, what's the plan for Utah? I've come up with a plan, but Don's still like, someday I'll get a plan.
You have a very vague plan that you canceled the other day.
Huh?
You canceled. You're like, bird trail. I'm trying to quote him. I'm paraphrasing him, and I'm going to characterize him too. Oh, bird trail. I can't go because the ferry's not riding. I guess I'm just a passenger now. I'm just tagging along. Woe's me. Let me shrivel up into a little ball over here and cry. Is that pretty close?
Yeah, the first part about the ferry wasn't running.
But I mean, why can't we do the bird trail? We can do
because I got a plan, and you keep saying I'm going to work on a plan for Utah.
Did I?
Yeah. I've got a plan.
What's the plan?
We leave here and we go west.
Into Utah?
Yeah.
That's a great plan.
Hey, we'll see who can navigate.
I've only screwed up once. My navigation's on, and that was We got a shower out of the deal. Can't be that bad.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
could have
Thanks,
found some
Brian,
trees.
for sure. Jay Flander of Double Odd. What's the most miles you guys done in a day on this trip? I think 320.
3 something, yeah.
But we've done many at 307, 319.
Yeah, 3 is probably about average, just because we're really slow getting up in the morning. We say 10 o'clock, and it's usually 11 something.
There's a commercial coming. TW Peep says, so it's been a while since he's been here. No more Haven hammocks?
Oh, no. No, I think everybody's abandoned Haven. That AirPads construction quality was not good. And I love them. I love the design. I love everything about them. They sleep really good, but I got to have something I can depend on. So I am in a Hennessy double X jungle hammock. Flawless, no problems. Easy to set up, really quick setup. Bert's rocking the hammock. That's your first hammock. You're not 100% behind it because it's not a great fit all the time, but you sleep pretty well in it. You seem like
I sleep well in it. It's a little tricky to get in and out of. Like, I definitely make sure that I'm not incredibly hydrated before I go to bed, because getting out of that thing and getting back in to piss at night is not simple.
I will tell you, for the hammock guys out there, or the people that are thinking about hammocks, we did a pretty good tour at the Vagabond Festival. I think we did your hammock. We did the guy that was camped over next to us. We did Gary's. We did somebody else's too, didn't we?
Did 5 or 6 different
Yeah, we did a
ones.
lot of hammocks. So if you're a hammock guy and you're interested in alternatives, or if you're tired of being a ground dweller, or if you're approaching the age of 50 and you're sick and tired of getting up and down off the ground, then you should really start considering doing the hammock thing. I've been doing it for over 15 years, and I will never go back to the ground unless there's no trees, and that happens occasionally. But I've got a ground pad. I blow that thing up and stretch a tarp if it's going to rain. If there's no trees, I can make do. But it's not something I want to do every day. I want to be comfortable. So the only way to do that is a hammock. Unless you're like 18 or 20 and then roll around on the ground like an animal, it's fine. I mean, same with toddlers. I mean, they roll around, they freaking play with dog turds and they eat them, just like everybody that sleeps in a tent is an animal. And, you got to graduate at some time and grow up into a real cultured human being. And that means hanging between trees, or in many cases, hanging between trees or pavilion posts or whatever. Everything is elevate your life.
I like how you slip that in. Hanging between trees or pavilion posts or whatever.
Whatever.
Let's see. Flood Construct says, hey, Moto,
Hey.
see any V-Stroms on the road?
Very rare. Very rare. And maybe I don't know what I'm looking at, but I know the color scheme for the 800s. But the somebody brought up a V-Strom the other day, and I said, "What's that? What is that you're riding?" He said, "V-Strom." So I've seen one, but otherwise they're very they're getting very camouflagey. Like they're very hard to see. I don't know if they're trying to make them look like KTM's or what, but yeah, I'm sure they're out there. I'm just not seeing them. I'm not recognizing them.
Gary recognizes the old married couple on TV here. And the old guy on a bike says, or a tent trailer.
Hey, ma'am, run with your bronc.
And
Jim, hang on. Jim, at least you're not crawling around on the ground like a damn filthy animal.
Peep says you could sleep with Don in his Hennessy. Yeah, if he didn't have his love doll with him.
The love doll does kind of get in the way. She likes to be on top, so I don't know where we'd put a third guy.
Gary would like to be 50 again.
Yeah, I bet he would. I would too. That last decade's put a hurting on me, man.
Will Billy, some people have a cot in a tent, but
Okay.
I do want to try a hammock.
Cot in the tent's bulky and heavy. But I admire anybody that wants to get off that filthy freaking ground. So, I think that's the first stage in evolution. You go, this ground sucks. I hate getting up and down off of it. And you go, I could sit down and lay down in my cot, And then all you got to do is like find some trees and get a few, just some some few basic skills of how to hang a hammock and how to sleep comfortably and how to insulate the bottom and the top. And if it rains, you probably need some kind of a tarp or something like that. But that's why I really love the Havens, because it kind of was an all-in-one kit. It was kind of easy to set up. It was a little bit heavy and bulky, but it was a great idea. Too bad the folks that he got to made the damn thing didn't do a very good job. So that sucks, because I like Derek and I wished him success. The product is not something I can endorse.
TW says Scooter Tramp Scotty and all his posse sleep in tents.
Hey, old school, man. I don't know. Filthy animals.
I mean, from what I've found, traveling around with Don, a tent doesn't work when he wants to just pull into some place and make camp that I feel is potentially a place to get kicked out of. A tent is really obvious.
Very obvious.
This pavilion we were in the other night, it was not obvious. We were in the dark, no lights in the pavilion, no lights around us. We were just silhouettes, the bikes, the hammocks, just stuff in there. But a tent would have to be outside the pavilion. It would obviously be a tent. And then I do like that you can see out of the hammock. Like, you can see around and people can't see you. Whereas in a tent, unless you didn't put the fly on.
You mean it's kind of like you're living outdoors in a recliner?
Yeah.
Kind of like you got your whole, you could see out everything in space. You could sit here. I fly my tarps typically. That's what I do. There's so much wind here. I've got it shut down a little bit closer to the ground. But most of the time, I like being outdoors. I like looking at nature and seeing what's going on around me. And most of the time, that's what I got. I look out my hammock. I go, oh, look, there's a bird. There's a moose. There's a freaking elk. Oh, that's nice. We had ducks this morning join us at camp. We've had geese flying over for the last few days. Haven't seen any deer. Well, no, we did see some deer this afternoon.
Yep.
In the guy's backyard. And
a house full of prairie dogs.
This guy, I don't know if the prairie dogs ate all his grass, but he's in this huge front yard. It looks like he's on a slope up the hill, and then it looks like somebody came in there and scraped all his grass away and replaced it with a bunch of holes. And I was thinking he planted some rocks in the small rocks in the thing. I was like, what is he doing here? Is he farming? What is he doing? And at the last moment, I was like, oh, those are prairie dogs. His front yard is covered up. It looked like a bunch of small tombstones, but then it was like a bunch of prairie dogs just going. Anyway.
So TW is saying wooden heated tents are warmer than hammocks. My hammock is actually incredibly warm. The hammock, you sit down and basically there's a bath like a tent would have before the mesh. And where you lay, it's all material, and then the mesh is above you. And the shape of it, the wind blows across it, but the netting is so tight that it has its own climate inside.
That's true.
It's considerably warmer than outside of the hammock. And I've got an air pad, which is needed for the structure of the hammock. And the air pad is insulated. And I'm never cold on the bottom. And you never feel how cold it is on the outside. I mean, I wake up and I can sort of feel the outside of my bag is cold or the side of the hammock is cold. But when I unzip the hammock in the morning, it can be freezing, as it was when we went with Jim and his family. It was in the 20s.
Yep.
The first night when we woke up, and
as soon as you unzip, you're like, oh
yeah. It gets cold.
Oh.
And that's just the netting for the mosquito bug net on the hammock.
To give tent campers an analog, if you understand, most people that I know of have 3+ man tents. That's a pretty big space. But if you're crawling into a 1-man tent, you will probably be able to be very comfortable with your own body heat reflecting off of the nylon, and even especially if you got a rain fly on there, it's reflecting most of the heat back in, so you're not losing a lot of heat. So if it's 30 outside, it'll probably be 50 something inside the tent. Same thing with a hammock. It's a very small space if you keep the zipper zipped up, and like in my case, I'm keeping the tarp really low to try to conserve a little bit of heat, keep the wind from penetrating. But I will also say the people that are thinking about tarps, trading in your tent for a tarp. You can't cheat. There's no cheap tarp or no cheap hammock that's any good. They suck. So if you're thinking you can go get an Eno for $30 and transition, you're gonna hate me if you do that. That's why I'm telling you this.
Why does it suck? Because I don't know.
Well, it sucks because unless you like sleeping on your back, you're gonna have to go with something that's called an ASIM or something. So you've got an ASIM hammock. I've got an ASIM hammock where you can roll. Most hammocks you can't. So most hammocks you're sitting like this. You got your cheap hammocks. So you got your feet up in the air, you got your head up in the air. They're great for sitting out in your backyard. An Eno hammock has been around for 40 years. That's something you put up when you're hiking and you just want to take a break. You go clip, clip, and you sit in your hammock and you swing. It's really good for that. It's really good for taking a nap. But if you sleep on your sides or your stomach, you will hate yourself and you will waste $30. There's a bunch of cheap hammocks out there. Don't waste your money. Do some research or ask me.
What's the one that you used to sleep in?
I had a war bonnet for 15 years. I still have
The
it.
one that looks like a tent that you don't talk about? Is that a Hennessy?
Looks like a tent. Are you talking about the Haven?
The Haven.
It's a hammock tent. The design is really good design. It's a bridge hammock, but it basically you pull it tight and it's basically it hangs like a bridge the way it's constructed. So it hangs flat with a bow in it, and you put an air pad in it to give it structure. So it's like a bed. It's like a suspended bed that you're hanging on. It's not really a hammock, so it's a bridge hammock. So it swings like this.
So what I was going to say is that I believe that hammock and the hammock that I have, the Amok, comes with a 100-day money back thing. So
that's the way to do it. But
so you
actually got to pull it out of the box and try it. If you can sleep in it.
If you slept in it, if you got one and slept in it for a while, I was like, I don't like this, you could send it back.
Yeah. I don't know that I would tell people to start out with an hammock. I would say maybe try some other things that are simpler.
Well, my inspiration is that, like, that's what I want to graduate up to, is something like that.
That's
crazy,
this is way more
expensive.
I would say that you did just the opposite. That's the thing that you want to graduate to, I would think.
That thing is a pain in the butt, man.
Yeah.
I would much rather be able to just clip and be done.
Yeah. Well, you saw the struggle I've got with the suspension. If I swap out the suspension,
that's your own thing. I could
do
the suspension.
But I mean, just to see me set up my war bonnet is like clip,
yeah,
tug, and I'm sleeping. There's nothing to it. Unless it's cold, then you got to put an underquilt under it.
Gary's tent. Anybody reading it here? The Nightcat lay flat tent hammock thing that Gary's got is awesome. Like, I would actually think
that looks almost as complex as yours. I want to see Gary before I plug his hammock. I want to see him set it up.
I don't care about the setup. I want to be able to get in and out of it.
Okay.
And I can't get in and out of that thing easily. The way they show it,
that's a downside.
Yeah, the way they show it on all the YouTube things, there's no sleeping bag in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy to just like lay back on it and slip in. But if you have a sleeping bag, it's going to fall down.
Yeah.
So then you've got to use that shelf liner thing that I have, and then you can't just. You've got to kind of get in while it's flat. It's not easy.
If you're objective, there's drawbacks to every sleep system. There's got to be at least one drawback. It's expensive. It's this. It's that. It doesn't do this. It doesn't do that. It's a learning curve.
Raymond Lovelace says, my problem with motocamping is transporting adult beverages. Any tips? What are you trying to bring, a keg? We carry alcohol all the time. Bottles of whiskey, 12 packs of beer.
You need to figure out what you can leave behind. and not just that, how much beverages are we talking about? Because I bought a bottle of whiskey and
a 12 pack, right?
A 12 pack, yeah, no problems. So maybe your luggage is the problem, or you do like I do. A lot of people freak out. Like, I don't go to camp with all my supplies. I go to camp, I set up my camp, and then I do touring. I go find better spots. And when I'm out finding the next spot that I'm going to, it's like, oh, I'm going back to camp now. Let me grab some supplies. I grab food. So it could be a problem if you carry as much gear but I mean, we carry way too much gear because we're going to be on the road for 6 months, whatever. So we carry way too much gear to be able to carry a bunch of supplies into camp. But if you do it like I do, this is how I've always done it. Very rarely do I go, I need water. I got plenty of food, but I need water. Where am I going to stick a gallon of water? Well, no, I'll just go set up camp. Set up camp. You set up camp long enough, way before dark. You sit and chill and go, okay, I've got resources. What are my resources? Oh, I've got lots of wood to burn. Let's go get some steaks. That's what we were going to do tonight. It's like, man, there's steaks right down the hill. We got plenty of wood, but I think we've decided we're going to grill steaks tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, dude, I mean, you're sitting around camp. Why not run to the store? You might see a dirt road on the way that go, oh, wow. Oh, there's this lake. I didn't know that lake was there. Oh, there's this cliff that's 1,000 feet down. I can sit here and hang out here. This is great.
That's probably a good point too. Jim says to Raymond, prioritize.
Absolutely.
Will Billy says, what about when it rains in a hammock? Man, my hammock, it's great. I mean, I'm covered. The way the fly is and the design of the hammock, I can put a chair underneath there with a little ground pad for getting into it, just to step on rather than the ground. It can storm and I'm dry. Under the hammock is dry. It's off the ground. You've got a spot to be able to put stuff. I have no problem sleeping.
Here's the question I've got. What do you do in a tent when it rains? You're sitting in a freaking puddle of rain. If nothing else, where's that rain going? It's going down and it's collecting around. Well, you got to have a footprint. Oh, really? Tell me how that works. If you've ever spent 2 or 3 days in a tent and in the rain, and I've been there. I've been in a tent where you're constantly managing, okay, where do I shift my stuff around? Because water's coming in somewhere. It's what do they call it? The tub. Your tub leaks. It's always going to leak. You can treat it every year, but it's always going to leak. That's the one thing I like about Scotty. He says, don't buy an expensive tent. None of them last more than 2 or 3 years. Absolutely, you can buy a $50, $100 tent and get by with it. You can't do that with a hammock. And on top of that, I'm elevated. I don't have to worry about what's on the ground. If I'm in my hammock, okay, I'm not walking around in there. I'm not chopping wood. I'm not doing that. But I am out of the water. I don't have to worry about any of that.
You don't have a ground cloth that's going to be sopping wet.
Right.
You don't have a tent base, which is going to be wet. You got the fly, which is wet, and we have a fly which would be wet in a storm.
Yep.
But all you have to do is shake off the fly.
That's it.
And dry it. The tent, your bag, an underquilt in your situation, any clothes or anything you stick inside of there, all of that is dry.
That's probably like reason number 2. I went to a hammock because you're sitting in a puddle of water. It don't matter where you are. The best place you can be in a storm is in a nicely graded campsite with nice thin little things of gravel, and you're paying $20, $30, $50 a night for the pleasure of camping on somebody else's ground where the water runs off. It's maybe not that bad, but if you've ever camped out in the wilderness out here, there is nowhere you can be in a heavy rainstorm for 4 hours that you're not going to be sitting in a puddle of water. And guess what? Getting in and out of your tent, I got into this argument with somebody before. It's like, I've never gotten into my tent and gotten the inside of my tent wet. I was like, when it's raining, how the hell did you not get everything wet? I don't get anything wet.
You've got to open the fly to get in to get to the door.
If you think about it, every fly looks like that. So you zip, you're going in, there's water coming in. Right. How are you avoiding that? I don't know how. You must have some really big vestibule. If you're getting into your vestibule and there's no water coming in. I don't know. I've never seen it. I mean, maybe there's some $800 tent out there, but yeah, that's a really good question because people don't understand because you haven't camped in a hammock.
Is lightning a concern when hammock camping?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Just like being out anywhere else. So the best place you can be in a lightning storm is in a Faraday cage. Yeah, be in a Faraday cage. Your house. I live full time in my RV, which is made of metal. And it's been struck by lightning, but not me.
Denny's in the chat, and he says that he was caught in a storm in a tent and 4 inches deep in water. Everything was wet. Shocking
information. Well, it's not just that. There's somebody pulling in through. Oh, they saw the juju. We had somebody coming in trying to take her. Did they knock over our juju? He was in pretty deep. Oh no, there's somebody else. Oh dude, they're going. Keep moving. Nothing to see here, folks. That's great.
All right. Uh, Jim says, woke up once in a tent with my son higher than me. Air mattress was floating.
Yeah.
Midwest Moto Camp, a hammock camp, and tent camp. It's all about the site selection. Even in the rain?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because I am concerned because we put out an invitation for the Band of Merry Men to join us. Anybody who wants to join us at camp, I would much rather join a bunch of people at camp and say, hey, you're coming to see us. Here's where our camp is. I would much rather go, what are you camping in? You got a tent? Okay, well, there's a flat spot over there. That's all you need, really. Um, but site selection is pretty important. But when it's raining, there's no spot. You can't hide from the rain. There's nothing other than a campground spot that's very well groomed and lots of gravel and, what do you call it? Not graded, but mounded. So you're sitting at the top of a mound where all the water runs off. There's no mud. You don't have to worry about that. But out here, if you put your tent down out here, you're going to have to shake a lot. You're going to have to wash that stuff off, or you're going to stuff all your gear in a dirty bag, or it's going to take a week for your stuff to dry out. So,
I mean, thankfully, we can run from the weather. We're not in a position to where we have to stay when it rains. We did get caught at the gear check, but that wasn't so bad.
No, and that's probably the worst. The stuff that's been under my tarp.
TW says, isn't there a brewery in Mancos? There is.
Yep.
Have you been? We didn't go.
That's good.
You been?
Yep.
All right. Yes, Gary, the doll worked. Is Richard going to join you boys?
I haven't heard from Richard. I would say no, since I haven't heard from him.
Matt McMaddy, Capitol Reef is awesome. That's the plan later this week.
That's where we're headed.
Matt, are you familiar with the area?
It's pretty well traveled.
Because we're going.
Talk about the bird trail. See if he knows about the bird trail.
There's a spot on the route from here that looks like 126 miles between fuel. And I was just curious if there's anything else there. Fry Canyon? I don't know if there's gas there.
Never been there.
There's a couple airports out there along that road, but it's just a landing strip. There's no buildings or anything.
We'll figure it out when we get there. I mean, worst case scenario, we roll into the gas station and go, can we go up there and go all the way out to the next gas station?
Yeah.
And it's either a yes or a no, or I don't know. How many people live in this tiny little town? I don't know.
Yeah, don't ask hard questions.
What's the square root of 478?
Message.
I like the tent and the hammock questions because there is a lot of ignorance on both sides. I'm saying in the nice method, but like I'm very ignorant of trikes because I don't ride one. But I've heard that you can get a trike that goes off-road, apparently. But I'm ignorant, so I don't know.
Like a three-wheeler?
A three-wheeler. Off-road three-wheeler. Or at least that's what they market it as, I'm told.
Tyler Hunter says, never, ever had a tent that didn't leak.
Yeah,
New or old.
There you go.
It did help to carry a larger tarp over it, but it still gets wet from time to time in a steady rain.
Well, I have been camping in a hammock for 17 years, and I have never gotten wet in my hammock. And I do a lot of camping.
Well, Bill, mine is a AMOK, a mock. I think it's from Denmark or somewhere over the pond.
Somewhere where they don't speak English and
Yeah.
they make stuff described. That's an Amok Dramor or something, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not English.
And what's the name of yours?
Mine is a Hennessy.
Hennessy? Okay, he was asking about
It's a Hennessy
names.
Zip Double XL jungle hammock, and it's pretty cool. It's very well built, very sturdy. Takes my big ass flopping around in there, and I sleep like a freaking 8-month-old child.
Midwest Moto Camp says the answer to your square root question is 21.863.
Very good, sir, with the calculator. Handy on the calculator.
Okay, so TW Peeps just asked, don't the hammocks move? Way to have a commercial. the things for live, huh?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Don't hammocks move in the wind all the time?
Nope. I mean, kind of like tents. They just, if you think about being rocked to sleep, that's probably the closest I could say is, woo, there's a 30-knot wind. I'm doing this. It's really gentle.
Mine does move. I would think more than yours.
Maybe.
Because instead of sleeping in line with the ridge line, I'm perpendicular to it. So depending on where you get in the hammock, it can tip. If you were crazy, you could slide to the foot or slide to the head and dump to the ground. I haven't had that problem. It's not that big a deal. I can sleep on my side. I can sleep in the fetal position and it still doesn't move a lot, but it does have a slight gentle rocking. And I have fairly good balance in general. And the first couple of days sleeping in that thing really threw me off because for the first hour that I would be awake standing on solid ground, I could still feel this little bit of gentle rocking in my body. Just my equilibrium was a little off. I haven't noticed that now because I wake up and I get going, I start doing something. But initially, it did take a little bit to get used to sleeping in that. The sleep was amazing, but getting out of it, like being on a boat, having sea legs and then walking on land, it was that sort of thing. But the sleep in there is, I didn't think I was going to sleep that well, and I sleep really well in there. Back, side, stomach. I sleep fine in there. But there is a slight rock, but it's not uncomfortable. I haven't drank a bunch and tried to go to sleep in the hammock, which is not going to happen in general.
I have. I drink a bunch and I go to sleep just fine.
Yeah, but you sleep fine.
I sleep pretty good.
Afternoon naps.
I'll tell you what I don't sleep good in? Tents. If I'm on the ground, it sucks. I just don't do it. I don't like getting up in the morning and having a piss. And now it's almost impossible to have to put on my leg while I'm laying on the ground. I can't do it anymore. So I can barely get off the ground. I've fallen down a couple of times and, like even with my leg on, but to put my leg on, I have to actually pound on my foot to get it to set the pin. So yeah, it would be a struggle for me. But all that aside, I would say back to the wind. You're gonna suffer in heavy winds. You're gonna suffer in a tent because it's like being inside of a bass drum. Yeah, all that pressure coming and going is like beating on your head. You don't have that because you got a tarp. The tarp is hanging over you. All the air pressure is going out. It's not concentrating in your tent. So being inside a drum, wind sucks, man. Heavy, hard wind sucks. Heavy, hard rain sucks. It just sucks everywhere, but you're always going to have an advantage as far as I can see. I mean, anybody that comes up, and I used to argue with tent folks a good bit because I've been an advocate a long time for hammock camping because people don't know what they're missing. They're ignorant. They don't know. If you don't know what you're missing, you don't know that you're suffering until you get into, what do they call those high dollar fancy beds that you sleep on? Memory foam, not memory foam, but the really
high dollar beds, dude. They go
5,000,
like, yeah,
10,000.
No, high dollar goes.
Well, so, I mean, you're sleeping on a $200 Walmart mattress. You don't know that you're suffering until you go, holy crap, I slept till noon the next day. And that's the thing. It's like the ignorance of hammock camping is costing people a really quality experience in the woods because you don't know any better. I'll
back that up.
It's like, riding on a 40-year-old,
a 300cc bike compared to a 700.
Let's say you're riding a 70-year-old panhead that you have to stop every 70 miles and freaking adjust the points and do something. You're constantly trying to fix your bike. You don't know that you can ride 500-800 miles in a day. You don't know it. So your experience of riding is like, well, it's just part of the deal.
What's that one run?
2 something.
Okay, so
there's lots of entry level cheaper hammocks, but you're not going to find them on Amazon as a rule. So, and I'll talk more about my hammock. I need to do a review.
Mine is north of 3 times that much, and I would not suggest trying to get into that thing right off the bat. I had it, I got it, I tried it, I liked it, I'm keeping it. But as far as sleeping in a hammock, I like to sleep on my side and my stomach. So I wouldn't want to sleep in a hammock where you're kind of like a banana. But if you can sleep in your back, you sleep on your side.
I sleep. That's the crazy thing about this. I can sleep on my back of this because it's so comfortable. This is how I tend to sleep now. Like that. I can roll onto my right side, but typically this is where I start out, and then I start getting bored with being on my back, and I'll roll over to my side, and it's really very comfortable sleep. It's very warm, but it's unlike tents. Any idiot can set up a tent. It's not as easy to set up a hammock, and not just that. You got to know some really important things, like if it's going to be cold, if it's going to be under 70 degrees, you will freeze your balls off in a hammock if you don't have an underquilt. I've got a sleeping bag that I've modified to make it into a top quilt. So I've got a top quilt, underquilt, but I've been doing this a long time. I don't want to say I'm an expert because you might think that I'm an expert in hammocks, but I'm not. I'm an expert in that. I'm a supreme expert in war bonnets. I love those two. The Haven, I could tell you how to set up the Haven, what works and what doesn't, but I don't recommend them anymore.
So Northwest Moto is saying, I was thinking of just cowboy camper on the ground next to the bike if I can't find trees. If you can sleep on the ground, that's fine. The only thing,
need anything. If you can sleep on the ground, you can do anything.
If you haven't, I would definitely. So I slept on the ground in the grass the other night, and it was in the 60s, and I had my riding gear on, and I had to put this fleece on top of it, or underneath the riding gear, and then I had to pull my sleeping bag over, basically because the ground was sucking the warmth out of me. So if you
continue, I just want to see what's going on.
But they're gonna say I'm better than you. I don't know if you want to see that.
There's 38 people in here. What's up, y'all?
So I would sleep on the ground, no problem. But I would definitely suggest having something to insulate you from the ground. But sleeping on the ground, I think is fine, especially if you're worried about the cops kicking your boots like me.
TWP says, Bert, you're better at live streams than Don. You're now in charge. Dude, 100%. Everybody's better at live streams.
But the thing is, there's two people. If I was talking and you were reading.
No, that's true. But I'm pretty freaking boring in front of a camera, just talking. Because I'm trying to come up with something interesting to say, but we're having a conversation, and a few people are joining in the conversation. It's great. And not just that, you can keep up with the chats. I'm freaking horrible at that. That's
Jim,
why I always say I love to have a producer. He's my producer. He's keeping it with the chats.
Brian says he pisses in his tent like in the truck. I've been telling him to get a Nalgene.
Nope.
And man, I'm not even going to attempt to piss in that thing.
Nope.
A tent, a car, I'll piss in those things anyway. But that hammock is not stable because the foam pad is where it gets its stability. And so when you go to put a knee down or kneel, it starts to taco and it's not.
Let me show y'all how. Can you see my leg on here?
No, I can just see your hand.
All right. Well, let me tilt this thing down. Well, actually.
Okay. There. Yeah. Actually, that showed.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right. So this is what I do when I'm sleeping. I don't have this thing on. I don't have my liner on. But when in the middle of the night when I gotta piss, I go zip. I hook this thing onto the edge of the hammock and I roll, grab my dick out, and I roll my dick out, way out. And I just piss outside the tent. It's no big deal. It's so much better than getting up, putting some pants and shoes on. It's so much better. Just zip, hang your dick out, piss. Just don't piss on the stuff that's outside your tent. Because usually this thing is standing up close by. So usually I got to go, yeah, let me get that out of the way. I don't want that thing covered in piss. I guess I could just fill this up. Just hang this out, fill this up with piss, and pour it out.
Alcohol abuse. Soldier down. You just might as well get another one. Yeah, so HangCon in where's that at? It's in Florida.
I don't know, man. Somebody told me the last HangCon was pretty good.
But there's discounts. Somebody's saying there's discounts.
Well, so if you're interested in hammocks, that would be a great place to go get a crash course And yeah, there's vendors there. You can roll in and like I did. The first hang con I went to, there was an hammock right there, and I was like, "What the hell was that? Oh, that ain't no hammock. It's sideways." And he's like, "Sit in it." I was like, "Okay, this is kind of cool." Oh, I mean, even my big ass. So to be able to sit in the, to be able to see, excuse me, to be able to see that many hammocks. I'm sorry.
All right.
Sorry about that. You're downwind, bro.
I know,
mean, like,
I
right?
know.
I should just be
I
burping
know.
in your face.
Everything's headed this way.
Anyway, it's a great place to go. What is that? How do you like that? Can I sit in it? Yeah. Where can I buy one? Oh, over there.
In Northwest Moto, we don't have tents with us. We only have hammocks.
Yeah, that's Steven.
Steven,
I thought you were a hammock guy. Well, I remember. Yeah, I don't carry a tent anymore. Just like you said, I got a tarp. I could tarp it. I got a ground pad. I can go to the ground if I need to. I'll be as comfortable as I can for one night.
Denny says that thing's $2.99 on Amazon right now.
Yeah, two something. Yeah.
He just checked. All right, yeah, bring a sleeping pad. Midwest Moto Camp has a 20 and a 40-degree quilt for hammock gear.
Yep.
Still rocking the War Bonnet Superfly.
Yeah.
Still like my MSR Hubba 3.
Huh?
Do you guys get in a sleeping bag or do you use this like a... I get inside my bag, but in mine, it slides back and forth. So at Walmart, I got a 20-inch by 6-foot foam. It's foam, but it has holes in it. It's a shelf liner. And so I roll that shelf liner out first, put my sleeping bag on top of that, and then get in however I manage to get in. And I can actually turn inside of the sleeping bag, and the sleeping bag doesn't move or shift because that foam liner between the bag and the surface of the hammock, it just stays. So it's very comfortable. At first, when I started, I didn't have that. And I would
So
wake
you're
up and,
modifying.
yeah, for
your hammock.
$6. I mean,
Yeah.
because the zipper would be over here and I couldn't figure out how to get out of the thing.
But that's why I keep saying that your hammock is not a beginner hammock. That's not something you want to fool with, because I think you might be disappointed and spend a lot of money to be disappointed. Now that may be a lot of people graduate to. Hell, I don't know. I may migrate in that direction, but
Brian says, can you just piss in the leg and dump it? Because other people are saying, you're giving too much information.
I just did. I said, I guess I could do that. But what you don't
did you?
realize is this is the release button for my leg, and it's got a hole right there. So it would basically go right out that hole if I pissed in it. But yeah, it's working fine. Like I say, I roll, when I get into bed at night, I roll my dick up, put it in my pants, and then when I get up in the middle of the night, I roll my dick out, just lay it in the grass. Everything's fine.
Will Billy's asking, how long have you guys been riding? So I'm just going to answer all of it. For me, I've been riding since March of last year, first motorcycle. Only have ever had this 300. Only have ever ridden this 300. As far as this trip goes, been riding since the 14th of March and have covered about 2,600 miles.
March 14th, 1974. I've got maybe 700,000 miles, maybe 20, 30 bikes. I don't remember. I don't keep up with them. I like riding other people's bikes. That way I don't have to keep up with maintenance or oil changes or like I'm really ready and willing to try out the 300. As long as I don't have to let you ride my bike and do all the maintenance. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe tomorrow. I love riding other people's bikes. As long as they say, man, it's got insurance on it. It's all right. Oh, okay. Yeah. I love insured bikes that people are like, yeah, man, it's got scratches on it already. Okay, cool.
How long we're chilling? This is Steven, Northwest?
Yeah, Steven. I finished up the chat with him in Oregon.
Okay. How long you chilling in Colorado? A couple days.
Till till we leave.
Might have weather Friday, so we're gonna try and skirt the weather.
So Gary will tell you why we want to get out of here before it pours cats and dogs for several hours. Because the last time we were up here, well, the last time me and Gary were up here together, we were camped up the hill, and we knew the rain was coming in. We knew we could get downtown and hang out at the library and do our thing and have internet and be comfortable and get some food and do whatever we want to and not be stuck in camp. So we're like, let's go there. And it rained all freaking day. We come back, the sun's going down, and we slipped and slopped and slid. So it was probably, I don't know, half a mile up to the hill that goes up. And we were sliding, all the way up to the hill, and the hill goes like that. And I was like, Gary, you got crappier, closer to street tires than I do, and you're tippy-toeing on your bike. Let me go first. We're both riding Tigers. And I said, if I can't make it up, you can't make it up. So I went up like this and went whoop, whoop, whoop. And I turned around. I was like, Gary, we're parking the bikes under the pylon, and we're taking the walk of shame up to the top of the hill. And that's what we did. That was what was that, Gary? 3 years ago? 2 years ago? That's a great spot when it's not raining. And it's a great spot when it's raining. You just don't want the road to get wet because it's nasty.
Liberty Forever is Ron.
Bruce.
Sorry, Bruce.
What's up, Bruce?
Said, I gotta quit saying as usual, I find this an hour and 20 minutes after it started.
Of course, there's good stuff, man. Bruce, go back and watch there's some funny, interesting stuff at the beginning. Sorry, I tried. I put out a short much earlier this afternoon, letting y'all know that the thing was coming because I know the short that Bert made got 3,000 views.
I don't know what that means. I mean, I know it means 3,000. But
well, like an hour, I got 3,000 views. I was hoping maybe some of the subscribers would get the notification from the short. So I tried. I don't know any other way.
Midwest Moto Camp. Any thoughts on firearms while traveling? Just bring whatever you want.
And I'm against it. Because we're in Colorado now. What do you think their policy is on firearms?
Well, I've found 223s, 22s, and
no. I'm not talking about
on the ground.
People spending ammo out here that maybe have residency. I'm talking about, what do you think law enforcement's idea of you carrying a weapon in their state is?
Don't know.
So you'll find out if they come across your weapon. That's why we've had this debate several times at several stops on the way, but I've been talking about this for several years. I've never carried on my trips because you never know where you're going to go. So I can guarantee you, if you cross the border into Canada, they don't like it up there. Mexico, I don't know. But I know Colorado doesn't like guns. I know California doesn't like guns. Oregon, Washington. There's a bunch of people that don't like guns, and they will throw you in jail. And I don't like trying to figure out which state has which policies and which law enforcement is going to have a hang up with me carrying a weapon. And also, it's just like everything else we've discussed. A lot of people get upset. It's like, wow, you're going to leave all your stuff at camp? And are you not worried? So we had this discussion earlier, and it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of things to worry about when you're camping. And one of the things you got to let go of, as far as I'm concerned, is like, you can't go anywhere because you're leaving your stuff at camp. If that's the way you want to camp, you might as well stay at home because you're going to be stuck in camp the whole time. So I've just kind of been able to let go. The stuff that I can't live without, I don't leave in camp. If they steal my hammock, I'm kind of screwed. I got to go to REI or somewhere to get something to sleep in, or I got to go to a hotel and figure out, I got to go to somebody and order some shit. But everything else is like, man, okay, it's going to cost me some money. But I've said many times, it's like, if somebody's desperate enough to steal my camping supplies, number one, they might need it more than I do. Number two, that's a desperate person. I don't know that I want to run into that guy. So, but same with weapons. It's like everybody has this scenario in their head. What happens if? And like my scenario is, what happens if you're going to the store and you're much more likely to run into a criminal at the store than you are out here. They're out here. They're just not near as many numbers.
Gary says something about 2022 June. It might have been to somebody else. He also says Colorado now bans any weapons where a magazine must be inserted.
Here we go.
Well, you just load single.
That's what you need. You need one of those
semi-auto with one in the chamber.
No,
only.
there's the Derringers that have two trigger
Yeah.
pulls. So you got two
Yeah.
rounds, and they're probably center fire.
Jim says he always carries iron, 10-inch
Whatever.
cast iron.
Yeah, Jim, Jim, and your ninja cast iron skills, dude. Dude, we need to do a collaboration anyway. Let's go ahead and get that thing out of the way. Let's do fucking ninja Jim. Ding ding. Let's go, boys. That would be great.
Brian says California is fine with guns.
Sure they are. Brian's delusional.
Yeah.
We know you live in the
Wait,
state.
is that trolling?
That's trolling. Totally trolling. Yeah.
Matt McMatty says, I sent down a Forest Service campground near Capitol Reef, $28 a night.
Woo! Probably not doing that one, but
Steven says, how long you staying out this summer, Bert? I have a birthday in September. I'm shooting for the end of September. And then if Don wants to stay out, I'm shooting for Christmas.
oh shit. That's a challenge. Sound like a challenge to me.
We got to get a challenge for all you guys, too. You put me
Man,
to
let's
task
go.
on.
Let's go. Good. Throw something at him. Throw something at him, Bert. I'm not really good at it.
Life is short. Do you have any friends that passed on without fulfilling some of their dreams? Did you see how it affected them? Nobody's on their deathbed thinking about the things they did, but the things they didn't do. Regrets.
We have a catchphrase now.
Yeah, which has come up to bite me almost. I'll forget what it was in regards to, but it might have been leaving my stuff at camp. Don't say no to adventure.
Don't say no to adventure. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you? I mean, if you start changing your life to the point of saying, okay, I'm making a commitment to myself, and somebody says, some beautiful young woman walks up and goes, me and you're riding down the highway with your buddy on the back, and they pull up. The Swedish bikini team comes up and says, we're looking for somebody to oil. We're looking for 2 oil boys. Do you know anybody? Well, that town down there has probably got lots of guys.
My chain needs oiled. Oiling?
We're talking about a movie that you haven't seen.
Oh,
Yet another movie that
all of
Bert
them.
hasn't seen. Everybody that's seen Dumb and Dumber knows what I'm talking about, except Bert. Bert's the only one.
Is that where they rode on the scooters?
They're rolling on a motorcycle scooter, or I'm sorry, a lawnmower engine scooter, and they're riding through. And at the end of the movie, they whatever, the tanning oil, suntan oil. The Swedish bikini team pulls up and is like, "We're in desperate need of some suntans, boys to spread."
Oh, I've seen that clip.
Okay.
I've seen that.
And they're
clip.
like, "Oh, you're in luck,
Yeah, I've seen that clip.
because right down there's a town full of guys that would love it." So that's kind of what I'm trying to illustrate. The call to adventure. Don't say no to adventure. Don't turn your back. Well, you can say it once. I think that's what the whole hero's journey is. The call to adventure happens once.
That wasn't in the initiation. There was no saying no to adventure.
Well, then you're far ahead of the game. But in the hero's journey,
Okay.
Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey is there's a call to adventure, and the call is refused, and then there's another call to adventure, and then the call is accepted, and then it's just this circle, the hero's journey. I'll probably go further into a little bit detail about that because I'm really fascinated with it's basically literature. The hero's journey is literature, and it's a theme in religion. It's a theme in all cultures apparently across the board. The call to adventure and people refusing the call to adventure, and then men dying from lives of quiet desperation. Living lives of quiet desperation is might as well be dying. So this is another attempt to call out the people that are like sitting there going, "There's nothing keeping me at home. I've got money. I've got time. I don't have anybody that's going to divorce me. I went on an adventure and I came back and I got divorced as a result. But I didn't know it at the time. If I probably would have stayed home if my wife said, if you go out that door, just don't come home. I probably would have stayed. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not asking people to leave their family, their job, but if you've got nothing, especially if you're freaking retired and you got a little bit of money and you got a little bit of time, and don't tell me that somebody can't take care of your dog or your cat or whatever, because this is the call to adventure. Join the band of merry men.
Steven's saying he's coming out in mid-June.
Yeah. Where are you going to meet us, Steven? What's your range, Steven? Steven's a young man, but he's got a flexible schedule. So, and apparently he's got just enough money to break away for a few weeks. So we're looking for everybody. I don't want to ruin anybody's life. But if your life already sucks and you're wondering what your purpose is here. Your purpose is to come hang out with us. Ride a little bit. See if we can inspire you to do bigger and better things. I don't think you'll regret it. Are you regretting anything that you've done so far? Besides purchasing a slightly thrashed 300?
The only thing that I'm regretting is the crap I've been eating, but I'm making changes. I bought a salad today.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making changes to eat healthier.
Well, this is my dinner. Other than the pretzels and the beer, that's my dinner. Not real healthy, but yeah.
We should toast the bread.
Think?
It'd probably be good. Ho on the go says, see y'all soon.
Yeah. Make a commitment. Don't do vague stuff. Make a commitment. Have you signed up on the Merry Men sheet? If not, I'll send you a link.
Midwest Moto Camp. I'm hemmed up, but in central Indiana if you pass through again.
Okay. Don't count on us.
Gary's written, fear causes hesitation, and hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear.
Fear's a tough one, man. Fear's a tough one. Everybody suffers from it.
Steven says, wherever the hell you are.
Okay, cool.
I'd like to see Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and Idaho again. Let's ride some BDRs.
So I don't know if anybody's watching the end of my videos now. All of my videos should have, at the end of every video, should have a map where you can click on it and you can see kind of where we are. It's not real time. I'm having to post it at the end of every time we move, but it should be every time we move, you get the new route, kind of keep an eye on where we're going. So I could say we're going to southern Utah this week, and it might change, and it could change. It could be something else. But in general, if you kind of keep up with us, you kind of look at the map, you can kind of see where we're headed. We're headed in a westerly direction, whether it's northwest or southwest, we don't really know. But right now we're headed northwest or south.
And man, if you haven't been out on the bike riding into the sunset, it's not sexy. It sucks.
Yeah, that's a helmet issue.
Man, it's like it's vision.
It's a helmet issue. It's all modifications to your helmet.
Also in West Texas, when the bike was dying and trucks are coming up at me at 80 miles an hour, and I'm trying to look in the rear view and make sure they see me, so I'm
So, you can always get off the bike at 3:00 and solve that problem right there. You can always get up at 8. Get off the bike at 2 or 3, and that's not a problem. If we're going west,
we'd only ride 2 or 3 hours then. Get up at 8.
3.
Get up at 8.
No, leave at 12. I'm sorry, leave at 8.
Oh,
yeah, we could always. Yeah, I know it's tough, but if riding into the sun is a problem, we could. But not just that. There's nothing written in stone. You have to ride more than 2 hours a day if that's what you want to do. That could be a great 2 hours.
Do you know Motard Squid?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Ricardo,
says hi everyone.
what's up, man?
He says you're an inspiring creature. I need to head out west.
You should come, man. You should come. Do you have any excuses? Do you have to deliver food for the next 3 weeks? Do you have to? And not just that, I guarantee you, if you come out here and hang with us, you will get a boost to your channel like maybe you've never seen. Because I've got nobody to point my viewers to. Nobody. I'm trying to get him to start a channel. Nobody. I got nobody. Jamie not hanging out with us anymore. Jim Jim is afraid. He's afraid to come hang out with us because he's afraid we might take him outside of a campground to camp and he might like it. Dude, you could get your rig out here, no problem. Right? Even it's got a little bit of ruts in the road, but I'm sure you've probably ridden on worse than that. We can get your rig out here.
Ho Ho on the Go says, send me the link, Don. I'll be free from doctors and home care soon. Then I'll be on my way.
So I'm trying to think of the thing. I'd have to get on my laptop to find the thing. Go back through my videos. Go to my homepage and look for the invitation video. There's an invitation video. It's got the links in there. Sign up for that. Otherwise, send me an email. That's the easiest way to do it. Just send me an email. Go to my YouTube channel. Find my email. And send me an email.
So Brian, I've got I took a full roll almost of Gorilla Tape and rolled it up around a pencil. So I've got a knot of Gorilla Tape, and I've been ripping off pieces of that and just
electrical tape. You don't want that nasty stuff.
I know. Now it's on but I've got those alcohol wipes from Brian, the other Brian.
You
Brian
get it off there. Just the electrical tape is the best.
That's been working well. Is putting tape over whatever side.
Well, not just that. The shame is he's riding around with that freaking sail on his helmet.
I might take that off.
You should take that off. That's just it's a noise maker and it's grabbing your head. And if you're not using it, if it doesn't work, you should take it off. Even though it looks cool and you look like an ADV guy with that stupid thing on there.
Tyler Hunter says, never need a gun here in Canada or the States. People are usually great and interesting, not evil as media portrays.
I would say that's true, as a rule.
What's up, Josh? Use some electrical tape on your visor.
Boom, boom, boom. Lots of wisdom out there.
Jim says he's not afraid. He just can't start his season in the snow.
You're afraid of the snow, Jim. Just admit it.
He's going to stick to the Atlantic Canada this summer.
I understand. We'll catch up soon. Even if I have to go up into Canada. I like Canada. I like Canadians more than I like Americans. That's kind of crazy to say because I love Americans.
TW Peep says, Sport Bike Todd says you're not doing it right.
Of course not.
LOL.
Of course not. Who said that?
TW Peeps.
Oh, of course I'm not. Dude, I feel like I know you, and I don't know who you are. I feel like I should know you. I feel like we've hung out. I just don't. Maybe I do, and I'm just not placing you.
And anyone in doubt that doesn't know Don, what he is in it right here is exactly how he is. Like, there's no.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah, you're you. You're Don is Don.
It's not an illusion. I'm just as much jerk in person as I am on TV. Anybody thinks that I'm really nice in person is wrong. You're wrong.
Josh says Canadians don't have. I don't have any idea. Canuck sausage. Canuck sausage. That's Canuck.
Yeah, that's what you call Canadians. You didn't know that?
I've never seen the word
Canuck.
I mean, I saw a guy say Yosemite one time.
Yosemite. Yeah.
Jim says, "Come to Newfoundland."
I would love to come to Newfoundland. Yeah, but y'all got like 3 months, right? And you got mosquitoes the size of cars and
like
stuff.
this looks like mosquito haven in the summertime.
Yeah. I don't want to be out here 2 months from now. Yeah. But yeah, it looks really nice. It's a little bit flat for my taste because I think I've had glaciers that knock down all your mountains up there. But you know, it looks pretty. It's very pretty. I love Nova Scotia. I really enjoyed my tour up there. But yeah, maybe we can meet up there and give me a quick tour, and then maybe hit Nova Scotia and take the ferry back. That would be cool. I would love to do that again.
Jay says you are a nice person, just to folks that aren't sensitive.
That's true. There's 2 types of people that I don't get along with: sensitive people and people with no humor. If you don't have a sense of humor, I realized that a couple of years ago, we're not going to get along. That's why we get along great, because he's got a great sense of humor. He may be funnier than me, which kind of makes me angry. But
yeah. Gosh, you're angry because I have 2 legs. You're angry because I have self-motivation to get wood.
You're fit. You have cardio.
Peep says, Don, what's the temperature up in Silverton?
Ooh, I don't want to find out. Dude, I am not kidding. They're
thick.
5 miles away. There are snow-capped mountains. I don't want to find out. Silverton is higher than that. That's what, 9,000, 10,000 feet, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. So Silverton is 14,000. It's going to be not just that. It's pockets.
Well,
of
right
cold
now
air.
we'll come back around.
Yeah, no, we're going to come back around. Yeah, we're gonna have the Rocky Mountain experience, definitely, but it's probably going to be.
I'm not eating those oysters.
But yeah, it'll be fun.
Silverton's 14,100.
Yeah, they get a lot of 14s around there. So.
Silverton's actually at 14?
No. Silverton's 10,000.
Okay, but
But if you think about it, it's in the middle of a bunch of volcanoes. So big, huge peaks. Well, that's Lake City, but it's right next to a bunch of volcanoes. So it's a big hole. So all that cold air has nowhere to go except down. So it's cold. It's lovely in the summer. It's 72 degrees. Their highs are 72, 74.
Steven says Highway 550 is calling his name. That's the $1 million highway.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, if y'all don't know the San Juans, that's what we're talking about, the San Juan Mountains. This is the base of the San Juan Mountains, and it goes another, I don't know, 100-something miles north of here, and some of the most intense terrain, the views, the riding, the history, ghost towns everywhere, old mining ruins. It's fantastic. If you've never been to Colorado, the San Juans is the place to be.
Now, just a heads up, I'm not looking to shut this down, but I've got 8% on my phone, and my phone is the hotspot for this, so I can read the chat. So,
well, let's bleed yours out, and then we'll shut it down.
Yeah, when this is done, I'll let you know. And
yeah, because I'm really excited at all the questions and the interaction, and I knew people would be curious about what we were doing.
Tyler says, if you like Nova Scotia, Don, go to Newfoundland. It's many times more beautiful and rugged.
Yeah.
Jim says, getting late here on the North Atlantic. Catch you all later.
Later,
See
Jim.
you, man. Brian says, Big Hill Road is the best.
Big Hill Road? Where's that? I don't know what you're talking about, Willis.
Is that this treacherous road to get up to your place I hear about?
Don't know what that is. I'm unfamiliar with Big Hill Road. But yeah, I think I would love to try to do a live stream every week just to kind of give everybody an update and
Pizza's out.
Try to make sense out of the back and forth and the videos.
Will do, Steven.
I have had such great responses from the daily updates, the things that confuse everybody, where it's like, hey, we're in Colorado, and then Saturday you're going to get, hey, we're back leaving Texas. People, I can see that being confusing, but I'll have the full explanation coming out maybe tomorrow. That video should come out tomorrow, and that way, every time somebody gets confused, I just go, hey, look, watch this video. It'll make more sense.
Gary says that's where are we at? That is the road up to Brian's place, and Brian says, watch any video of me going home.
Brian says that, yeah.
Yeah, the Big Hill Road.
Hey, we're going to drift your driveway, dude. Don't even worry about it. What else y'all want to know? Any questions? Any comments? Anybody?
And I got a squeaky toy for your puppies.
I would really like to know more information about the people that have given it some thought about what I said earlier. It's like, well, I really got nothing going on. I could put some knobby tires on the bike and I could meet y'all somewhere, or I got some camping gear, and I mean, everybody's welcome. I would say if you're on a low slung motorcycle, you might have a little bit more problem. So I don't want to say if you've never ridden in the dirt, that might be it's not all dirt. It's 98% of what we're doing is pavement, but we're camping in the wilderness with some occasional camping in cities. When we misjudge time, elevation, distance, things like that, we're going to do crazy stuff. And Bert's almost on board with it now. He really didn't want to stealth camp at the bank. And I'm saying stealth loosely.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be there. That's the way I use stealth camping.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be there. It's not, we're hiding, because a lot of times it's like, you try to hide, it's going to draw people's attention. If you're sitting out in front of the police department, and you're going, "Ooh, we're over here doing something dirty."
Thanks, Midwest. Midwest Moto Camp just gave $5. He says, "Party on, Garth."
How the hell did he give? Oh, wait a minute. I don't have super chats turned on, do I? Thanks, dude. I hate super chats because YouTube just took $2.50 from you.
What?
Yeah, that's why I can't stand it. I've always turned them off. I've never had them on. But thank you. It's not about you. It's about YouTube.
Gary's got a ton of work to do on the ranch, but he's leaving in a few days.
Good. So we got Gary coming. We got, who was it?
How much work can there be? Didn't y'all burn the ranch down?
We've been talking about you bad since we left, Gary. I think you saw the video. He's like, he's smoking out the rodents. Let's set the ranch on fire and get rid of these rodents.
The timing was perfect, though.
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
thank you.
With the weather.
Thank you for running us off, Gary. Just
much
in time.
appreciated.
Yeah, we would have been stuck. Well, we did have access to vehicles. We could have got somebody to get us out of there in four-wheel drive. I would go, hey, can you take us down to the Mexican restaurant and get us a freaking hamburger or something? Now we're just on our own. Unless we meet some cute wild women out here. We should start flirting, dude.
Gary says he's building French. You could bring me a French.
What's a French? Building
fence.
French.
I'm sure it's fence.
Oh, building French. I did get some good video of you.
He deleted it. It's fence.
Okay.
What did you get video of? Oh, him on the fence? Yeah, with the
No, you missed my comment. I'm ready to start flirting. We should start flirting to see if we can get anywhere with the flirt. Yeah, you're single? You got a house? You got a shower?
The only person I saw wasn't speaking English.
The only person you saw.
The girl at the Mexican place in Odessa. The server.
Oh, yeah. So we're not talking about being attractive. We're talking about showers. Seriously.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
Showers.
Maybe a little promise of sexual favors in return for a hot shower. Look, truck stop's like 70 miles away.
Hey.
And you're not that bad looking. Could we come home with you? Could you fix us a sandwich and give us your shower?
All things considered, we have had an exceptional beginning to this.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, with the hospitality and the showers and the housing and
as much as I would have wanted to trade it for wilderness and being out here, but it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
And we're here now.
We're here now.
I'm just gonna have to ration the firewood if we're out for a week.
And we don't have any scars. No scars, no broken bones, no nothing. So
I got scratches from the firewood collecting.
Yeah, I don't know. You need to ease up there.
I know.
All right, unless y'all got some more quick comments.
Motard is down for flirting for showers, it looks like.
Yeah.
He finds it funny.
Dude, Ricardo, do you have any excuses why you can't come out this way? We're headed to southern Utah. If you get out here in 3 days, I can let you know exactly where we're going to be. Or 4 days. Whenever you can get out. Come on out, man. And we'll
see you, Denny.
Yeah, Denny, good to see you, man. Yeah, man, get on your bike. That goes for anybody. If y'all want to come this way, if you are willing to travel more than 2 states, we will bend over backwards for you. Can you wait a week and I'm only 20 miles away. Can you come to my house? No, we're not coming to your house.
Midwest Moto Camp says, ask the day cab drivers for showers at the truck stop.
No, we got.
But that's a good tip for people in general.
Yeah, the truck stop showers, we got that covered. But truck stop showers here is Durango probably, and then beyond that, it's typically around the larger cities or at least larger intersections. So interstates connecting with interstates. Usually there's truck stops. But the places that I want to go and probably you want to go to are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, if we got to go back to some old toothless old lady's house and take a shower at her house, we might have to do that if we can't find a creek that we can pull. And I'm very competent at pulling water out of creek. I just don't want to pull water out of that swamp back there.
Oh, no.
I think I'd be better off just living in my filth for another week. So
Motard says YouTube just showed him a Bush Light commercial.
Really?
He says, yeah, you guys need to start drinking on camera for sponsorship.
Well, this live stream is brought to you by Miller High Life. Call me, Miller.
Show me the money. He also says, isn't there the Valley of the Gods? Where's that at?
Yeah, that's
Southern Utah.
That's on the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Valley of the Gods. I think we need to go. You said you've been there, no big deal. I think it's an epic, scenic, cinematic masterpiece that's been. There's hundreds, if not 1,000, movies that have used that backdrop. So I think we need to go. It's not that far from where we're going. It's southern Utah. So, well, it's the southern Utah, Arizona,
All right.
Colorado, New Mexico. It's the Four Corners region, and just further beyond that. We don't have to go too far out there to get an epic shot.
I mean, this is a little bit different, but like in this Four Corners area, which I don't think we're that far from, it's all very similar. The 4 states.
No, it gets ugly.
Arizona.
Yes, the closer you get to Utah in the southern part, it's nothing this beautiful and nothing this high up. It's barren, it's desert, it's washed out sandstone, but it's beautiful because it's it's landscapes that you see in all the westerns. It's like from Red Rock. What's the movie with John Wayne? It started with him back in the 30s.
McClintock.
No, Red Rock, I think. Red River. Red River, the classic John Wayne movie where I can't remember. I get all the themes confused. But it's basically started with John Wayne and it's been in all the big major westerns ever since. It's like, you're out west when you're in Monument or Valley of the Gods or Monument Valley, any of that stuff.
Motar Squid is Ricardo?
Yeah.
Ricardo, yeah. He says the Valley of Gods is mind-blowing. If you can camp out there, you can see the Milky Way. I'm already aware that the 27th of this month is the new moon, so I definitely would like to be in the middle of nowhere.
Let's make that
for the new
top
moon.
of the list. Then.
Oh,
that's what I miss when I'm in the middle of nowhere. No light pollution at all.
Yeah.
It's like it's either cloudy or there's a freaking moon.
Gary says the Searchers, and Brian says Roadrunner.
Searchers was later. Searchers was 50s. Yeah, I'm talking about the 30s with John Wayne and Red River. That's the first one I remember having. Yeah, Searchers was all over that, but there's been hundreds, if not 1,000, Western movies with that in it. Not to mention Forrest Gump. When he's running, he's got this pack of guys. He runs halfway up that hill, and he goes, and he turns around and starts walking back. We need to do that. We need to do that piece. You pull off right there by the road. You walk down the road, put the drone up, and I'll do my best to run down the road, run up the road, and then we can turn around and flop and walk back down the road. You got to do that many highways, but that's one of them you can.
I think we're getting better with the live streams. I mean,
oh yeah, can't help but get better. When you start on the very bottom, you can't. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing in the basement.
Somebody asked to see the water in that cooler at Brian's in Odessa, and I'd say that this water is very similar.
Water in the cooler. Oh yeah.
When you were sitting on.
Yeah. So somebody noticed that there was water coming out. Oh
no, I showed them. I turned the cooler around and showed.
All right, yeah, that's good.
Steven says Southeast Oregon has the least light pollution in the continental U.S., but Utah sounds epic too.
Oh yeah.
Gary says thanks to John Ford.
Yeah.
Matt 50% discount on campsites with a national park pass.
Got that.
Got it.
So we're gonna roll in there and own that place. Sleeping on the ground probably because they ain't got any trees. Maybe they got a pavilion we can hang in there and just say, hey, we're not prepared to sleep on the ground. We're not ground dwelling savages like the rest of the world.
TW asks, you guys going to Sturgis?
Probably not. Unless it's one of your things.
No.
Unless there's going to be people there that I want to hang out with, there's nothing in Sturgis.
I don't want to have to wave at that many people.
And that's what you have to do. You have to just go like that.
I'll just get one of
Bert
those.
does not wave. He hates waving. I don't wave at anybody unless it's in the middle of nowhere. I was like, hey, there's a motorcycle. Hey, dude, what's up? I don't wave at anybody. But
out there by Shiprock, it's fine. It's like one lone person.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, the first motorcycle I've seen in 50 miles. What's up, man?
It's different if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you come across somebody as opposed to ripping through the city.
Well, my favorite wave is I'm standing on the pegs and a bunch of bikers come by and I go, hey, you got a motorcycle too? I got a motorcycle. That's my favorite wave.
Tira says Deadwood is awesome.
No. Sturgis or Sturgis for the rally, because there's two different things. going to that area of South Dakota, fan-freaking-tastic. Really good chance we're going to go through Sturgis. Sturgis for the rally.
He says you don't have to go to Sturgis during the rally.
Yeah.
This is just
no. I've been to Sturgis many times, and I love the area. It's tons of great riding, tons of great history, great weather most of the time. But going for the rally, there's nothing in it for me. I don't like big stupid rallies with stupid people that don't know how to ride a motorcycle. It's not my thing.
Brian says they don't wave at Sturgis.
They don't wave. I wish I'd have gotten the memo, because all that waving I did, especially the standing on the page going, "Hey, you got a motorcycle too!" Yeah. It really depends on weather and what our mood is, but yeah, that's a great place to ride. Summer, the weather's kind of hit and miss. It rains a lot. It's really hot. So, closer to September, if we're doing the loop back in September, well, shit. If we're gonna hang out in the Rockies, that's pretty far north for the Rockies. So,
I'm
not just at Montana, Wyoming. That's really what I want to concentrate on. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. That's my thing. In the summer, that's my jam, because I can go up when it's hot and I can go down when it's cold. Run from the weather, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful as long as the dance. And that's the other thing. Everything catches fire in the summer, so if there's tons of big fires up in the north, you just go south, and vice versa. But yeah, I don't want to commit to anything that far out, because we're trying to be doing a big loop. We're doing a southern loop. We're doing clockwise for the first time. I normally do counterclockwise, so we're doing clockwise. Sierras, hopefully hanging out in the Sierras before get to Yosemite before the crowds get there, and then maybe work our way south. What
Tito says that's what she said. I think in regards to going up when it's hot and down when it's cold.
Well, I guess we could shut it down, y'all. We're about to lose the sun anyway, and he's about to lose his battery, and I'm about to lose my mind because I haven't had a beer in like 10 minutes. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. This is a blast.
Gary's asking about Bighorn before we go. He says there's a great campsite with showers.
Where?
I don't know.
Come
out and show us. Just come out and show us.
Yeah, Gary, you're gonna have to give us all the tips, all the secrets that you need to share. Need to be shared in person. Yeah, don't tell us. Show us.
Is this 36 people in here?
Oh yeah, it's been 30. It's been in the 30s. Yeah, it's
holding
great.
Solid.
Yeah, that's great, man. I hate to leave y'all, but how much battery you got left?
2%.
Oh, we got to shut it down.
We're out. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
We're fixing to go skinny dipping. We'll just leave the camera on while we go skinny dipping, and you guys can enjoy my fat, hairy ass as I waddle into the moat back here with all the cow poop. Thanks for hanging out. Wave goodbye, Bert. Wave us out, Bert.
Farewell.
Wave us out, Bert. Keep waving. No, don't stop. I haven't. Yeah, say goodbye. Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Hurry up.
Bye.
Hurry up.
Hang on.